The protagonist of today's story, I call her Sarah. Sarah is a well-known wedding planner in Los Angeles. Her job is to create the most perfect day of their dreams for others. From the luxurious estate at the foot of the Hollywood Hills to the sunset on the beach in Santa Monica, every wedding she has handled is like a romantic movie. In the 10 years of working in the industry, she has seen countless couples make vows in front of her, and she has also seen many unhappy couples part ways at the last moment. She thought she had already seen through the essence of marriage, until fate played the cruelest joke on her. She has been married for 5 years, but has never been able to hold a wedding for herself. It's not that I don't want to, but every time I make preparations, my husband delays it for various reasons. The first time, he said that the company had an important merger and acquisition case and he couldn't leave. The second time, he said that his parents were in poor health and did not want to make a big deal out of it. The third time, the fourth time. Later, Sarah was too lazy to mention it again. She thought, as long as two people love each other, what's so important about that piece of paper and that ceremony? She poured all her romance and fantasy into other people's weddings. Today is her first day back to work on New Year's Day. There was a message on my phone from my husband, Ryan, saying that the planned wedding next week had been canceled due to a business trip. Sarah looked at the message, sighed, and put the phone aside. She's used to it. She suppressed this loss deep in her heart, took a deep breath, adjusted her most professional smile, and welcomed the first client of the new year. The door was pushed open, and a young face came in. She was a very young girl, beautiful, but not the kind of stunning beauty, but the kind of childish, pure beauty. She was wearing a loose floral skirt, but even such a loose skirt could not cover her slightly bulging belly. When she walked in, she held her waist with one hand and unconsciously protected her belly with the other hand, with a shy and happy smile on her face that she was about to become a mother. "Hello, are you teacher Sarah?" The girl's voice was soft and waxy. "My name is Cindy. My husband asked me to come to you. He said you are the best wedding planner in Los Angeles." Sarah stood up and greeted him with a smile. Her professional habits put her into the mood immediately. "Hello Cindy, please sit down. What can you drink? Can warm water be used?" She noticed that the girl was pregnant and specifically asked her assistant to pour a glass of warm water. Cindy took the water glass, her eyes curved into 2 crescent moons. "Thank you, teacher. My husband and I have been dating for 2 years, and now the baby is 5 months old. If we don't have a wedding, I won't be able to wear a beautiful wedding dress." Sarah nodded understandingly, and while saying blessings, she took the folder handed over by Cindy. She opened it casually, and her eyes habitually glanced at the names of the bride and groom. Bride, Cindy. Groom, Ryan. Her fingers paused. Ryan. Her husband. The man who had just messaged her that he was going on a business trip again and had cancelled their wedding again. Sarah felt as if she was suddenly withdrawn from her body, and everything around her became unreal. She heard her own voice, terrifyingly calm, as if she was asking an ordinary customer question, "How long have you been together?" She saw Cindy sweetly recalling their first encounter, in a cake shop, because of an umbrella and a piece of matcha cake. She heard Cindy say that on the day Ryan proposed to her, he booked the entire Santa Monica Pier Ferris wheel, filled the sky with fireworks, and drones spelled out her name. Matcha cake. Ferris wheel. Drones. These were the things Sarah had told him about her wedding fantasies on countless nights in Ryan's arms. Her favorite dessert, she said, is matcha cake. She said her dream proposal would be at the highest point of the Ferris wheel. She said she wanted a wedding blessed by fireworks and drones. It turned out that he had not forgotten. He just gave all this romance to another person. Sarah's heart seemed to be squeezed tightly by an invisible hand, and the pain was so painful that she could hardly breathe. But the smile on her face was perfect without a single crack. She continued to ask questions, and every question was like a knife cutting into the flesh of her heart. She asked where their first date was, and Cindy said it was at the Revolving Restaurant on the top floor of downtown Los Angeles on the night Ryan confessed his love. She asked Ryan what he thought of the child, and Cindy took out her phone and showed her a video. In the video, Cindy handed the pregnancy test stick that showed pregnancy to Ryan. Ryan was stunned for a second, then picked her up and spun her around the room. He cried. A man in his 30s cried like a child. He said, "Cindy, I'm going to be a dad. I'm so happy." Sarah looked at the video and looked at Ryan, who was so excited that she had never seen before, and the last bit of luck in her heart was completely shattered into powder. She recalled that on the day they received the certificate, when they came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Ryan just smiled and said, "It's finally legal." Then he went to work. No flowers, no celebration, not even a decent dinner. It turns out that it's not that he can't be excited, he just can't be excited for her. Teacher Sarah? Teacher Sarah? Cindy's voice brought her back to reality. Sarah blinked, suppressed the excruciating pain, and showed a professional smile. No problem, Cindy. I will definitely handle this order for you. When she finished saying this, she had already made a decision in her heart. The hook has been laid. After Cindy left, Sarah sat alone in the office for a long time. She didn't cry, she just looked out the window at the gray sky in Los Angeles and went through the past 12 years of her life in her mind. She and Ryan were high school classmates and had been together since they were 18. She remembered that when she was sick, Ryan skipped school to buy medicine for her, climbed over the wall into the girls' dormitory, and fell all over her body. She remembered that when she was in a bad mood, Ryan could run all over the city to find the candied chestnuts from the old store where she liked to eat. Later, they got married. There was no wedding or diamond ring. They just spent $50 in a small church in Las Vegas and hired a master of ceremonies who imitated Elvis Presley to preside over the ceremony for them. At that time, she felt that as long as there was love, these forms were not important. She believed every word he said. He said he was busy at work and wanted to socialize, and she understood. He said the company was having difficulty with cash flow, and she spent all her savings to support him. He said that his parents were not in good health, but she cared more about him than he did, and contacted the best doctor before and after running. She gave him all of her best 12 years. What can be exchanged for? It was him who used the cake she loved to eat to start another romance. It is to use her dream proposal scene to please another woman. It was his tears of joy when another woman became pregnant. It was him who canceled his wedding to that woman again and again. 18 times. He pushed her 18 times. And she actually believed it every time. Sarah finally cried. Not wailing, but the kind of silent crying where the tears can't stop flowing down. What she cried was not the loss of this man, but the 12 years of her life when she spent all her youth like a fool. After crying, she wiped away her tears, picked up her phone, and called her best friend. Her best friend, Lisa, is a lawyer specializing in divorce cases in Los Angeles and is known as the most difficult woman in Los Angeles. When the call was connected, Sarah's voice was calm. Lisa, Ryan cheated. There was silence for 3 seconds on the other end of the phone, and then there was an angry curse. That son of a bitch. Just wait, I'll be right back. Lisa rushed to the studio in a hurry and held Sarah in her arms as soon as she entered the door. Sarah finally broke down completely in her arms, crying like a helpless child. Lisa didn't say anything, just patted her back gently, once, just like her mother used to coax her when she was a child. When she had cried enough, Lisa let her go, held her shoulders, and looked into her eyes. Tell me, what do you want to do? Sarah took a deep breath. Her eyes were red, but there was an unprecedented determination in her eyes. I want to sue him. Bigamy. In the United States, bigamy is a criminal offense. Although prosecutions are rare in practice, if the evidence is solid, especially if it involves maintaining 2 marriages at the same time and holding a public wedding, there is a lot of room for maneuver. Sarah knew the law, and she knew that a marriage certificate alone was not enough, but if Ryan and Cindy wanted to hold a public and formal wedding, that would be the ironclad proof. Lisa looked at her eyes and knew that she had made up her mind. Okay, what do you need me to do? Help me collect evidence. Cindy doesn't know that I am Ryan's wife. She will tell me all the information based on the trust of the client. I will personally organize the wedding as a wedding planner. The wedding day is the day Ryan goes to jail. Lisa nodded and the two quickly made a plan. In the days that followed, Sarah told Ryan that she was going on a business trip for a week and would live in the studio on the pretext of receiving a big project. Ryan was so relieved that he didn't even ask a question. He just told her to take care of herself. Sarah sneered. She knew that Cindy would move into their home during the week she was away. She created a WeChat group using her colleagues' work accounts, and roped in Ryan and Cindy to communicate with them about all the details as a wedding planner. Through this group, she saw everything. She saw the photo Cindy posted in the group, wearing her pajamas, lying on her bed, and letting Ryan apply pregnancy oil on her. That pajama was a gift Sarah bought for herself for her birthday last year. She liked the soft silk feel very much. Now, it's on another woman. She saw Cindy saying in the group that she wanted a wedding with a pure white French background, and the entrance music should not be Dream Wedding because it was too tacky, so she wanted to change it to Lover. She said that Ryan liked to sing this song to her the most. Lover was a song Ryan sang to her at the graduation party when they were in high school. He said that this song was his promise to her and that he would only sing it to her alone in his life. She saw Cindy saying that she didn't like the styles in the bridal shop. She heard that Ryan's wife had always wanted to hold a replacement wedding, so she prepared a wedding dress that her mother had worn. It was very meaningful. She won't need it anyway, why not wear it for me? The group was silent for a few seconds, and then Ryan sent a voice message, smiling fondly. Okay, I will listen to you. Who makes you my most beautiful bride? Sarah looked at the photo of the wedding dress on her phone. It was her mother's wedding dress. Her dream since childhood was to wear the wedding dress her mother wore on her wedding. She told Ryan countless times what this wedding dress meant to her. And now, he gave it to another woman. Sarah's hands were shaking, but she didn't cry. She just took a screenshot, saved the evidence, and then used a voice changer to reply with one word, okay. As the days passed, Sarah was like the most dedicated wedding planner, taking care of all the details to the extreme. She knew that the more perfect this wedding was, the more beautiful her revenge would be. While she was preparing for the wedding, she and Lisa collected evidence of Ryan's transfer of the couple's joint property. She saw the money Ryan transferred to Cindy every month in the bank statements, the apartment he bought for Cindy in full, and the jewelry and designer bags he bought for Cindy. Most of that money was earned by Sarah over the years. She lived frugally and was reluctant to buy herself a decent piece of jewelry, but she became a cash machine for his mistress. She also saw that Ryan's family members, those so-called family members whom she sent gifts to during holidays and visited when she was sick and hospitalized, all knew about this and acquiesced. My mother-in-law even said in the group, it's more serious to have a son as soon as possible. That Sarah, her stomach hasn't moved after 5 years of marriage, so she probably won't be able to give birth. It turned out that they had excluded her a long time ago. In the last week before the wedding, Sarah locked herself in the studio and confirmed every link over and over again. Floral arrangements, music, lighting, processes. She is like the most perfect goddess of revenge, weaving the big net that is about to be closed with her own hands. During this period, Ryan came to the studio several times, but Sarah made arrangements with her colleagues in advance to avoid him perfectly. She didn't want him to discover any clues before the last moment. Finally, the wedding day arrived. The wedding was held at a private estate on the beach in Malibu. Facing the sea, spring flowers are blooming. The pure white French background, the corridor covered with white roses, and the light pink balloons floating in the air are all what Cindy dreamed of. The guests were dressed up and had blessing smiles on their faces. Sarah stood in an inconspicuous corner outside the manor, watching luxury cars drive in and looking at those familiar faces. She saw Ryan's parents, wearing the necklace she bought at Tiffany's and the suit she gave them, with smiles all over their faces. She saw that Ryan's aunts, uncles, cousins, the relatives who had held her hand at family gatherings and praised her for her virtuous and capable abilities, were now attending her husband's wedding to another woman. She opened the family group on her phone and saw that a month ago, on her wedding anniversary with Ryan, she posted a photo of the two of them with the text, "It's been 5 years, thank you for still being here." Underneath, these relatives liked and left messages, "So sweet. What a perfect match. I want to be happy forever." Now, the same person is sitting at another wedding, saying the same blessings. The music started, it was Lover. Ryan stood under the flower arch and watched Cindy wearing the wedding dress that belonged to Sarah and being held by her father, slowly walking towards him. Cindy's face was filled with a happy smile, and her 5-month pregnant belly was looming under the wedding dress, making her even more charming. The master of ceremonies said the same oath and asked Ryan if he would marry Cindy, rich or poor, in sickness or in health. Ryan looked at Cindy and said affectionately, "I do." He then took the microphone and began his wedding speech. "Thank you all for coming to Cindy and I's wedding today." His voice was choked with sobs. "From the first time I saw her, I knew that this was the person I wanted to spend my life with. She is kind, gentle, and has given me unprecedented warmth and love. For 2 years, she has been my motivation to wake up every day and my harbor when I am tired from work. Today, I can finally call her wife legitimately. Cindy, I have never wanted to give a wedding to anyone but you in my life. Will you marry me?" Cindy covered her mouth, tears bursting from her eyes, and nodded desperately. The audience burst into applause, and some people were so moved that they secretly wiped away tears. Sarah stood behind the crowd, watching all this with a blank expression. She listened to the love words that had been spoken to her and now gave them to another woman intact. When she heard him say, "I have never thought of giving a wedding to others," the last trace of warmth in her heart completely turned cold. Just when Ryan and Cindy were about to exchange rings, Sarah took out her phone and sent a message to Lisa, "That's it." The music stopped abruptly. The door to the manor was pushed open, and 4 staff members in black uniforms walked in, pushing 4 huge wreaths. White chrysanthemums, black elegiac couplets, with golden characters written on them, I wish Mr. Ryan and Ms. Cindy a happy wedding and good luck together." The whole place was in an uproar. Guests shrieked and ducked, with one shouting, "What's going on?" Someone shouted, "Security. Where's the security guard?" Ryan's face turned pale instantly. He stared at the 4 wreaths, his lips trembling, unable to say a word. Cindy was so frightened that she clung to Ryan's arm and screamed, "What is this? Who sent it? Get them out. Keep the change, please." A cold female voice sounded. Sarah walked out from the crowd, step by step, onto the stage. She was wearing a simple black dress today without makeup, but the light in her eyes was more dazzling than any jeweled lady. She walked up to Ryan, took off her sunglasses, and looked at him. "Ryan, the wreath is from me. Happy wedding." Ryan's face completely lost all color the moment he saw Sarah. As if he had seen a ghost, he staggered back 2 steps, his lips trembling. "Sarah? Why are you here?" "I'm your wedding planner." Sarah smiled. That smile was cold and biting. "Didn't you personally bring me into the group? Every flower, every piece of music, every detail is personally prepared by me for you and your bride. How about it? Still satisfied?" Cindy also reacted. Her eyes widened and she looked at Sarah in disbelief. Are you the wedding planner, Sarah? Are you his wife?" Sarah didn't answer her, just looked at Ryan with undisguised disgust and contempt in her eyes. "Ryan, you married another woman behind my back and you are suspected of bigamy. The police are on the way." As soon as he finished speaking, the piercing siren sounded from far to near, and several police cars stopped at the entrance of the manor. Several uniformed police officers walked in and showed their IDs. "Mr. Ryan, we have received a report that you are suspected of bigamy. Please come with us." The cold handcuffs locked Ryan's wrists with a click. At this moment, the whole place was deathly silent. Then came the explosion. Ryan's mother, Sarah's mother-in-law, was the first to react. Like an enraged lioness, she screamed and rushed towards Sarah. "Sarah, you vicious woman! What are you doing? How dare you call the police? He is your husband. If you let him go to jail, will your face be bright?" Her skinny fingers almost poked Sarah's face, causing spittle to spray everywhere. Before Sarah could speak, Lisa had already stepped forward, stood in front of her, and looked coldly at the once friendly old lady. "Auntie, you have to provide evidence when you speak. The one who is embarrassed is not Sarah, but your precious son who can't control his lower body." The mother-in-law was choked, and then started to behave. "I don't care. You can't take away my son. He is my only son." Cindy finally recovered from the shock. She watched Ryan being taken away by the police, and then looked at Sarah. The huge humiliation and anger made her lose her mind. With her 5-month pregnant belly bulging out, she rushed to Sarah regardless and raised her hand to hit her. "You bitch! You lied to me! You ruined my wedding! You ruined my life!" Sarah dodged sideways and looked at her with cold eyes. "It was Ryan who ruined you, not me. You knew he had a family, you got pregnant with his child, and forced him to hold a wedding. What qualifications do you have to complain here?" Cindy was speechless and tears burst out instantly. She began to use her best weapon, the child in her belly. "I'm pregnant. You still treat me like this. Are you jealous of me because you can't give birth? You hen that can't lay eggs." These words were like a knife, piercing the softest part of Sarah's heart. She and Ryan have been married for 5 years and have no children. It's not that she can't have children, but that Ryan always says he's too busy with work and needs to wait. She thought he was doing it for his career, but it turned out that he just didn't want to have a child with her. Ryan's father, the father-in-law who helped Sarah run around to find a doctor for a kidney transplant, also stood up and pointed at Sarah's nose and cursed. "Our Zhou family has a daughter, what else do you want? Isn't it just that a man has made some mistakes, and you can't tolerate it? Which man in the world doesn't cheat?" "That's right. Sarah, you are so ignorant. Who will benefit from making such a big deal?" Other relatives also echoed, talking to each other, as if Sarah was the heinous sinner. Sarah looked at these confusing faces, and the last trace of hesitation in her heart disappeared. She was still thinking whether she had gone too far. Now she knows that no matter how hard it is to deal with these people, it is never too much. Crack dash. A crisp slap resounded throughout the entire audience. It wasn't Sarah who hit her. It's Lisa. She slapped Cindy hard on the face, the anger in her eyes almost igniting her. Cindy covered her face and looked at her in disbelief. "You dare to hit me? I'm pregnant. It's you who's being beaten." Lisa's voice was colder than ice. "Don't bite a pregnant woman. The piece of meat in your belly was stolen. It's evidence of guilt based on another woman's pain." Lisa turned around and pointed at the group of Zhou family relatives, her voice trembling with anger. "And you? Do you all have the nerve to accuse Sarah here? Ryan's first pot of gold for starting a business, $500,000, was Sarah's dowry money. His company couldn't turn over funds and almost went bankrupt. It was Sarah who stayed up all night for 3 nights and used her wedding company as collateral to give him a loan. His father has kidney failure, the money for a kidney transplant, the relationship with experts. What is not Sarah running around? Why didn't you say at that time that she was not a member of the Joe family? 12 years. Her best youth was given to Ryan and your family. What did she get? What she got was a well-planned betrayal and all of you watching indifferently. Lisa's words were like sharp knives, piercing into the hearts of everyone present. They looked at each other, speechless. The mother-in-law opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but Lisa glared back. Let me tell you, today is just the beginning. We will deal with marital infidelity, transfer of property, and bigamy one by one. All the things you bought with your sons' and nephews' money will be spit out. After saying that, Lisa took Sarah's hand and walked out without looking back. Let's go, Sarah. Don't waste another second with this bunch of crap. Sarah followed her footsteps and didn't look back. Behind him, there was Ryan's desperate scream as he was being put into the police car, Cindy's cry of collapse, and the chaos of Joe's family. But all this has nothing to do with Sarah. Walking out of the gate of the manor, the sea breeze blows in your face, carrying a salty smell. The sun was dazzling, and Sarah squinted her eyes, feeling like she was waking up from a long nightmare. She took a deep breath, and finally a glimmer of light came into her heart that had been suppressed for a long time. Ryan was criminally detained on the same day due to solid evidence of bigamy. In the days that followed, Sarah and Lisa began to liquidate the property she and Ryan had shared during their 5-year marriage. No, maybe it shouldn't be called joint property. It was almost her sole property. Lisa pushed a list in front of Sarah. You have to be mentally prepared. Ryan, you must clean up and leave the house. Sarah nodded, her eyes falling on the list. Wedding room. Their house in Pasadena is more than 200 square meters, with a small yard, and its market value is more than $2 million. When buying a house, the down payment was 600,000 yuan. Ryan paid 200,000 yuan, and Sarah took out all the 400,000 yuan left by her parents to make up the down payment. After 5 years of marriage, Sarah paid the monthly payment of $8,000 alone. Ryan always said that the company has just started and there are many ways to spend money, so she should be more responsible. She stayed there for 5 years and repaid a loan of nearly 500,000 yuan. Deposit. For the bank cards at home, Sarah holds the main card, and Ryan holds the secondary card. She thought his monthly expenses were just daily expenses and entertainment. But when Lisa retrieved the bank statements, Sarah realized how ridiculous she was. Since 2 years ago, Ryan has made a fixed transfer of $20,000 every month, and the payee is Cindy. He also bought Cindy a small apartment in Orange County, fully paid for $800,000. Not to mention the jewelry and brand name bags, the total cost exceeds $1 million. And what about Sarah herself? Which of the clothes and shoes on her body did Ryan buy for her? How long has it been since she bought herself a decent piece of jewelry? She always wanted to save money and support his career. But he didn't expect that every penny she saved would become his capital to please another woman. And his company, Lisa pointed to another document, he is the legal person of the company, but the startup capital for registering the company was given by you. Later, the company encountered crises twice. One was due to your mortgage loan, and the other was when you directly took out the reserve fund of your studio, totaling $800,000. These have transfer records. One pile, one piece. Looking at these cold numbers, Sarah's heart completely died. She once thought that she and Ryan were a couple who shared weal and woe and were fighting for a common future. In the end, she was just a stepping stone on his road to success and a cash machine for his mistress. Just then, Sarah's cell phone rang. It was my mother-in-law calling. She went straight to speakerphone. On the other end of the phone, my mother-in-law's voice was no longer the arrogant and domineering voice at the wedding, but with a hint of deliberate flattery and crying. Sarah, Mom knows she was wrong. Mom was so angry that day that she said those words. Don't take it personally, we are still a family. Ryan knows he was wrong. Can you withdraw the case? If he goes to jail, his life will be ruined. Sarah sneered, he deserves to be ruined. The mother-in-law didn't expect her to be so disrespectful, and her tone instantly became tough again. Sarah, don't be so shameless. When a woman marries a man, she regards her husband as her heaven. What man doesn't have fun outside? Can't you be more generous? Do we have to make a fuss until everything ends? What good will it do to you if you send him to prison? You are also a second married woman. Do you still want to get married in the future? These clichés almost made Sarah's ears bristle. First, I will not withdraw the case. He must pay the price for his actions. Second, he and I will divorce soon, and his life and death have nothing to do with me. Third, you don't need to worry about whether I marry or not. After saying that, she hung up the phone and blocked all her mother-in-law's contact information. Cleaned up. But she didn't expect that her mother-in-law wouldn't work, and Cindy would start acting like a monster again. That night, Cindy held a live broadcast on TikTok. The title of the live broadcast was very clever: The Blood and Tears of a Single Mother Who Was 5 Months Pregnant. In the camera, Cindy is naked and wearing a large hospital gown, with the hospital ward in the background. Her face was pale and her eyes were red and swollen, and she looked pitiful to me. Hello everyone, my name is Cindy, and the father of the child in my belly is named Ryan. She cried and said, we have loved each other sincerely for 2 years. He promised me that he would marry me and give us a home for our mother and son. However, at our wedding, his first wife Sarah rushed in with the police and took him away on the charge of bigamy. As she spoke, tears fell down, and she choked and held her stomach. I admit that I interfered in their marriage, and I was wrong. But Ryan and I are in love. He has no relationship with Sarah a long time ago, and she has been clinging to her. She can't bear to have a child, so she can't bear to see me pregnant. If she can't get Ryan's love, she will destroy him and us. Now that Ryan has been arrested, I am a pregnant woman with no one to rely on. The doctor said my fetal air was unstable and there was a risk of miscarriage. If Ryan really goes to jail, my child and I will not be able to survive. She burst into tears, portraying herself as a tragic character whose true love comes first but is persecuted by her vicious first wife. I have to say, her acting skills are very good. A pregnant woman, true love, a vicious first wife. The combination of these elements instantly ignited the sympathy of netizens. The barrage in the live broadcast room almost scolded Sarah one-sidedly. Isn't this first wife too cruel? Everyone is pregnant, so please be merciful. That is, if a slap in the face can't make a difference, if a man cheats on her, it must be her own fault. She wants to take revenge on her mistress even if she can't give birth. This kind of woman is so vicious. I feel sorry for Cindy. Pregnant mothers, please be strong, we support you. Cindy looked at the barrage with a proud smile on her lips. Soon, Sarah's phone number and the studio's social account were all hacked by angry netizens. All kinds of dirty words are unsightly. Cindy struck while the iron was hot and called Sarah with an arrogant tone. Sarah, did you see it? Everyone is on my side. I advise you to be wise, drop the case quickly, and release Ryan. Otherwise, I will let these netizens bully you until you die. Sarah listened to her proud voice and calmly turned on the recording on her phone. Really? Cindy, do you think that hiding behind the identity of a pregnant woman makes you invincible? She hung up the phone and didn't talk nonsense to her anymore. Half an hour later, Sarah used the studio's official account to post a long message on Instagram and TikTok at the same time. The title is, Marital Infidelity, Bigamy, Cyber Violence. Confessions of a Victimized Wife. She didn't cry, she just stated the facts calmly. She put in her and Ryan's marriage certificate and a timeline of their 12-year relationship. Next, there are records of transfers she made to Ryan's company, proof of payment for surgery fees to his father, and bank statements showing her repayment of the mortgage. Then, there are the consumption records of Ryan buying Cindy a house, a car, and luxury goods. The two slips formed an extremely ironic contrast. She also released screenshots of all the chat records between her and Cindy in the WeChat group, especially the one where Cindy confidently asked to wear the wedding dress left by her mother. Finally, she attached the recording of the phone call she just had with Cindy, in which she personally admitted that she wanted to violently abuse Sarah online. The chain of evidence is complete and the logic is clear. At the end of the long article, Sarah only wrote one sentence: the law will not give in to true love. Tears cannot wash away the sins involved. I, Sarah Lynn, will never withdraw my lawsuit and will stay with you until the end. This long article, like a bombshell, instantly detonated on the internet. Netizens who were still sympathetic to Cindy before saw the mountain of irrefutable evidence, and the trend reversed instantly. Damn it. It's reversed. This first wife is too miserable. It's a poverty alleviation style marriage. I'm throwing up. How can this mistress still be embarrassed? I'm spending my wife's hard-earned money and still want to wear my mother's wedding dress? Disgusting. Support the original wife. Kill this couple of bitches. Let them clean themselves out of the house and sit in jail. Cindy, come out and apologize. Take advantage of our sympathy, you liar. The tide of public opinion turned back towards Cindy with a force 100 times stronger than when it came. Her TikTok account was blocked, and her Instagram was full of curses. The internet war started by her ultimately burned her down. Ryan also heard about the farce on the internet in the detention center. He finally couldn't sit still anymore and asked through his lawyer to meet with Sarah. Sarah agreed. She needed to end it with him face to face. They met in the detention center's interview room, separated by a thick layer of glass. After not seeing each other for a few days, Ryan looked very haggard, with an unkempt beard and sunken eye sockets. He no longer looked as high-spirited as he did at the wedding. He picked up the phone, his voice hoarse. Sarah. He first played the emotional card. Sarah, we have been together for 12 years. Do you still remember? When you were in high school, you had a stomachache during your period, so I skipped class to buy you painkillers. You liked to eat donuts from the store in front of the school, and I rode my bike to buy them for you every morning. We agreed that we would be together forever. Sarah listened quietly without any disturbance in her heart. These memories that once moved her to tears now sound only ironic. Ryan, when you told Cindy our story, did you also feel a sense of accomplishment? Think of my favorite matcha cake as the romance of your encounter. Sing her my favorite song. Copy and paste every bit of our 12 years into her. You ruined not only our marriage, but also the memories of my entire youth. Ryan's face turned pale. Seeing that the emotional card was useless, he started to threaten and induce again. Sarah, do you have to be so cruel? If I go to jail, what will the company do? If the company collapses, you won't get a penny. Don't forget, you are also a shareholder. You are destroying our collective hard work. Sarah laughed angrily at his words. Ryan, when did you ever think of the company as our? When you used the company's money to support your mistress and buy her a house and a car, did you think about us? When you and your family planned that wedding together and trampled my dignity under your feet, did you think about us? Do you agree that when Cindy wore my mother's wedding dress, she thought about us again? She asked questions one by one, her voice getting louder and her emotions getting more and more agitated. The grievances, anger, and unwillingness that had been accumulated in my heart for the past few days all exploded at this moment. You always say you love me, but what is your love? It's endless demands and natural betrayal. I gave everything for you, but in exchange I got you and others singing harmoniously, and the family is happy. Ryan, you are not guilty, it's a small mistake, you're rotten to the core. I'm here to inform you that it's imperative that you go to jail. I won't leave you a penny. I want you to have nothing. Her words were like a sharp sword, completely shattering his last chance. Ryan held the phone, his hands shaking badly. He finally realized that Sarah was serious. He could never recover. Huge panic and regret instantly overwhelmed him. Sarah. I was wrong, I was really wrong. You give me another chance, I broke up with her, and I will listen to you in everything from now on. Let's go back to the past, okay? He cried, a man in his 30s, crying like a child through the glass. But, it's too late. Sarah looked at him calmly and gently put down the phone. Ryan, it's never the same again. She stood up, turned around and left without looking back at him. On the day of the trial, the court was full of people. Ryan's family, Cindy, and some media reporters came after hearing the news. Sarah sat at the plaintiff's table with Lisa next to her. She was wearing a simple white shirt, black trousers, and her hair was meticulously combed back. She looked capable and calm. In the dock opposite, Ryan was wearing an orange prison uniform and was in a state of despair, as if all his energy had been drained away. His eyes were fixed on Sarah, with pleading, regret, and a hint of unwillingness in his eyes. Cindy was sitting in the auditorium. Her belly was already very big. She looked at Ryan and then at Sarah, her eyes full of disbelief and resentment. She still can't believe that she would lose so miserably. The mother-in-law and father-in-law stared at Sarah with such eyes that they wanted to eat her alive. The trial went smoothly. The evidence Lisa prepared was impeccable. Transfer records, chat records, wedding scene videos, each item nailed Ryan and Cindy to the pillar of shame. Ryan's lawyer tried to argue that Ryan's marriage to Sarah had long existed in name only and that he was just looking for true love. But the judge unceremoniously rejected his defense. In American law, the survival of a marriage is not based on the breakdown of the relationship, but on the divorce. As long as there is no divorce, the marriage relationship is protected by the law. Anyone who lives with others as husband and wife during the marriage, or even holds a wedding, is guilty of bigamy. Finally, the judge pronounced the verdict in court. The defendant Ryan is guilty of bigamy. The facts are clear and the evidence is conclusive. He is sentenced to 1 year in prison. As for the divorce lawsuit filed by plaintiff Sarah Lynn, we support it. As for the joint property within the marriage, due to the defendant's major fault and the plaintiff's ability to provide proof of the source of most of the property, it was ruled that all property belongs to the plaintiff Sarah Lynn. The defendant, Ryan, left home cleanly. The gavel fell and everything settled. The mother-in-law burst into tears on the spot and was asked out by the bailiff. Ryan collapsed on the dock, his face ashen. Sarah stood up and prepared to leave. But Cindy, with her big belly, rushed over to stop her like crazy. Sarah, are you satisfied? You send him to prison and leave him with nothing. Are you finally satisfied? Her eyes were red and she looked like a madman. Sarah looked at her embarrassed look and shook her head, with a cold smile on her lips. Not enough. Yes, not enough. Why did they make a mistake and only Ryan should bear the cost? Cindy, as the direct beneficiary of this sinful relationship, must also pay the price. So, next, Sarah took Cindy to court on the grounds that Ryan illegally transferred and embezzled the marital property during marriage. She asked Cindy to return everything that Ryan had stolen from her and spent on her in the past 2 years. That 800,000 apartment. That 400,000 Porsche. Those priceless Cartier jewelry. Even, Ryan saved the $500,000 for her in the name of child care fund. When the court summons and asset freezing notice were delivered to Cindy, she collapsed completely. She thought that while Ryan was in jail, she could still keep the property and children for the rest of her life. She didn't expect that Sarah would pull out all the stops, causing her to lose even her last source of support. She regretted it and came to Sarah to plead for mercy. She cried and said that she knew she was wrong and begged her to let her and the child go. But why should Sarah let her go? When she was planning the wedding triumphantly, wearing Sarah's pajamas, sleeping in Sarah's bed, and spending Sarah's money, had she ever thought of letting Sarah go? In the end, the court ruled in favor of Sarah. All assets in Cindy's name that were purchased by Ryan were forcibly auctioned and returned to Sarah. She really has nothing. 1 year later, Sarah's wedding planning company became famous in the industry because of the famous wedding wreath delivery incident. Many female clients who have been emotionally hurt come here because they trust Sarah because they know that she best understands what kind of protection and respect they need. The company doubled in size, and Sarah's career continued to flourish. She also met someone new. His name is Michael. He is an architectural designer, gentle, calm and respectful. He would remember all of Sarah's preferences that she casually mentioned, would silently prepare warm water and stomach medicine for her when she was busy, and would drive to pick her up when she worked overtime until late at night, and bring her a hot late-night snack. Sarah felt very comfortable and at ease when they were together. There is no need to deliberately please, no need to compromise, and you can be your truest self. The day Michael proposed to her, he took her to the Ferris wheel in Santa Monica. At the highest point of the Ferris wheel, he knelt down on one knee, took out a ring, looked into her eyes, and said seriously, "Sarah, I can't be involved in your past, but I want to spend the rest of my life giving you a certain future. A future where there are only 2 of us, frank and loyal. Will you marry me?" Sarah looked into his sincere eyes, smiled and nodded. She finally had the proposal of her dreams. But this time, she no longer needed that grand wedding to prove anything. She knows that true happiness is not the fireworks of that moment, but the mutual support over the long years. And Ryan is also out of prison. A year in prison had completely smoothed his edges, making him look 10 years older. After he came out, he immediately went to find Cindy. However, they learned that Cindy had an accidental miscarriage not long after he was imprisoned due to excessive mental stress and being forced by debt collectors. The child was gone and the money was gone. She couldn't bear the blow and became insane and was sent to a mental hospital. Ryan's parents, unable to hold their own in the community because of their son's scandal, sold their house and moved to another state without a trace. He betrayed all his relatives and lost everything. On the day Sarah's new store opened, it was packed with guests. She stood at the door of the store, chatting with every guest, smiling appropriately and confidently. Michael stood next to her, wearing a crisp suit, gently arranging her wind-blown hair. Ryan stood across the street, looking at her from a distance like a wandering ghost. Looking at her wearing a smart beige suit, she greeted the guests with a bright smile. Seeing the handsome and elegant man next to her doing every little thing for her with adoration in his eyes. Look at her whole body exuding dazzling light in the sun. It was a dazzling light that he had never seen before. He finally understood what he had lost. 2 lines of tears of regret slipped from his face full of vicissitudes of life. But so what? Belated affection is worthless than grass. Sarah's peripheral vision caught the figure across the street, but she just looked away lightly and continued to joke with the guests beside her. There is no other future for her. Loving yourself is the beginning of a lifetime of romance. Okay, that ends today's story. I'm your host and this is Marriage is Not the End. Marriage is not the end. No matter what you are going through, please remember that you deserve to be loved, respected, and even more worthy of having a happy life that is truly your own. If you like our channel, please like, subscribe, and share it so that more friends can see these stories and find their own strength. See you next time.